over the last, I guess, 15, 20 years, you would have seen quite a lot of change from corporations backing, what was the old model, I think, of, do a great CSR activity potentially at your conference, to now foundations. And as you say, some of them have huge volunteering programs. So can you share a little bit about, how you've seen that shift moved and where you see corporations are going, especially in this post-COVID world that we are thankfully moving into?
I think, when we launched, they'd call it the chairman's choice, or the chairman's, wife or partner's choice on which charity the company would support. And that was in the day with the big novelty check, and the whole company would just give a check to one charity. And then I guess when technology came into play, we could democratize giving, we could empower staff to decide where they want to give their funds and their time, and fundraising pages and who they want to support. And then we saw companies really pile on board with that and say, this is great. Why don't we match their donations?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we give them, instead of 1 day paid volunteer leave, why don't we give them 4? So they've been incredibly supportive of the efforts of their staff and the interests of their staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we've seen more recently is with, a lot of diversity and inclusion specialists. It's tricky. Like, how do you actually bring that to life? What are your proof points around diversity and inclusion? And we found one of them for a lot of the corporates that we're working with like MyOb and IAG and AGL and Medibank and Mirvac, that now diversity and inclusion could say, hey, we really are all in on this. And that's why, part of the reason why we've got a platform now with Good Company, where if you want to support First Nations, if you want to support LGBTI, health, education, the SDGs, what SDG you're looking to fulfill, all those things can now be met online and done there, and tracked and measured, reported into ESG reports, into financial reports, and sort of closing that whole loop there.
Yeah, which I think is amazing to see the shift. And for those of us, I think, who've been in the corporate world for 20 plus years, the shift has been huge, even from an employee perspective and as leaders within business, of what's possible and the avenues to be able to give back, which didn't exist 20 years ago. So, I think it's a really exciting space to be a part of. And, not everybody can be in your shoes. It's actually turning the wheels. But I think to be able to have the platform to do what we want to do as individuals, to create change, it's a really exciting, I think, landscape that we're now looking at compared to what we used to look at, 15, 20 years ago.
And I think now companies, I'm not sure if you're finding this, but they're starting to mature a little bit and go, okay, a big day of difference, sounds cool, but is that what the charities actually need?
Yeah.
Do they need a workforce of 300 people knocking on their door on this day of difference and coming in and doing something? So I think a lot of programs are maturing now and are getting back to not transactional, volunteering, but transformative volunteering. And that all starts with what are the actual needs of the charities.
Yeah.
So seeing that definitely is a trend. And then I guess the other big trend is, the whole thing was about bringing, our mission is to connect those that can give with those in need, to bring out the best in everyone.
Yeah.
And what we've found really over the last few years is it starts to flip. So whereas before corporates were the ones that could give and charities were the ones in need, and now we're finding, corporates are the ones in need, and charities are the ones that give.
Yeah.
Because they need a reason to come back into the office. They need to, be more empathetic, the future of work skills. They need good people and pro-social behaviours because they understand. I think a lot of this has to do with like the GFC and other things that we've lived through, is that people, are waking up to like, what really drives them. and a lot of that is community service, helping,
Mm.
giving back, being present, doing good.